This is Trophy Gold, Panning the Last River, Part 3. Let's do a little bit of recap. So the last session, actually, Aram got kind of separated from the group and had his own adventure, sort of going down into the shallows, while the rest of the group kind of went to the forest thicket to try to find a path up the cliff. They both ended up, both groups ended up at the top of the cliff ultimately. Aram got directly to the manor, and the other group is in ruined Creve. Creve is this village that was there beforehand, and it seems like before it fell to ruin, there was some kind of like violence that went on in the village. There's also evidence of violence at the manor as well. You were searching ruined Creve, the group that's there, and someone, I think it was Soren, but I can't quite recall. But anyway, someone found a note essentially in what used to be an old like general store, and the note basically referred to the Sorcerer's Pseudo vault. And I'm going to quote here: "Only the Sorcerer's thieving soul can unlock the Pseudo vault. It survives within a stone visage and a shadowy terror stalking the manor's halls. Beware." There is also, oh wait, hold on. That was the main thing in that note that Soren found. There are possibly other things to find in this general store still, but that we had kind of cut the investigation short because we ended the session on kind of a cliffhanger, because the other characters, Cassian and Aveha, they were in the town square where a statue of this presumed sorcerer, Vero, was covered in vines, and these vines seemed to extend throughout the square and indeed and through the village, and these vines started to animate the statue, and that was sort of where that ended. And then back in the manor, Aram is in this manor. It's doing all kinds of weird like space time cosmic shifting stuff, like windows and doors and stuff reappearing and disappearing. Aram manages to get in. There's a sideboard that gets smashed, and the last thing we saw was a bunch of like sort of like cosmic energy or a cosmic river flowing from the busted sideboard into the room, into the foyer where Aram was. That's kind of where we ended things. I can't remember if there's anything else I'm leaving out, but if I am, let me know. Fantastic. Let's do a quick character block recap. You all did not get much treasure last time, and so everyone's a little light on meeting their burdens right now across the board in terms of cash and treasure found. So just be aware of that. You cannot leave until you meet your burdens. However, you still as a group have a lot of tokens, so that's great. And your ruin is not too bad either. I don't think anyone's at 5, so you're pretty good as far as all that goes. You've got plenty of space to keep searching. Conditions aren't even too bad either, to be honest. But so with all that said, let us, are there any questions before we start? Okay. Let's start with, town square. So Cassian and Obeha, this statue, the vines are almost like moving it like it's a puppet in a way. It's as if the statue was like kind of, the limbs were sort of like, and the head were sort of like broken off, and now the vines are there like joining them together, holding their shape, but also causing it to move. And it steps down from the podium, being operated almost like marionette-like. And then vines begin lashing out at the two of you as well. So you are in full-on combat with this thing. It is lashing vines, it is the statue, it's all one thing, and it has endurance 10. We'll come back to that in a moment. Soren, The store you're in is not far from the town square. You probably hear the commotion. What do you do?
Yeah, after finding the note and hearing the vines outside shifting, he'll sort of peek out and see the two of them and the statue, and they've got it. And he's going to continue to look around the store.
Indeed, indeed. Cassian and Oveja, please tell me how you are each vulnerable, and then roll your weak point, please.
I don't have anything to deal with vines in terms of like weapons. I've literally my weapon is a wooden stick. Like
Very good, very good. That feels like a problem. Go ahead and roll your weak point.
I was going to say, I mean, the vines as well. Vines trip me up while trying to deal with the statue is pretty dangerous in itself.
Indeed, indeed. What are our weak points? We got 6 for Oveja and 6 for Cassian. A cruel, cruel weak point roll all around. But who knows? You might roll 2 5s, right? So we'll see. Oveja, you can go ahead and roll the combat. Combat 2, please. Looking for 10 total. That's not enough. It's a 5 and a 1, but it did not hit you. Let's just get the combat started. So Oveja, kick it off. What does it look like?
I'm basically like, I see this giant statue and I think I'm in fiction practically trying to get as much distance away from it, but however, like just because of where all the vines are situated, I can't really flee the square. So it's just me sort of running around with like a chicken with its head cut off.
Cassian doing something similar with his saber, just trying to hack at any vines that are getting close, and then trying to size up and figure out how am I going to fight a stone statue with this little blade? Like, not making any advances really.
Indeed.
I did want to try something.
Sure.
At whatever point it makes sense to interject. I have a grappling hook,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking I could try to pull the statue down.
Oh, maybe as like a way of reducing its endurance or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I like that. You're already in the combat, which is the problem. If you want to leave the combat and give a weak point to Oveja, you can certainly do that. But
no, that's fine.
Okay. Let's go to Soren. You will hear the noises of combat breaking out mere dozens of yards away. What are you doing right now?
Well, it seems to be a shop of some size. I do want to look around to see if I could find any gold or any kind of items that I could put to that. I don't know if I need a token, if that's like just to instantly find.
You can spend a token to instantly find something, or you can roll a hunt roll. It's up to you.
I'll roll a hunt roll for right now.
Sure.
I feel like we might need the other ones later.
Okay, you get a token, but you encounter something terrible. Take your token. You're looking around, and there is another piece of paper. The paper is, this building has like kind of a rafter, right? And you see this paper suspended among a tangle of vines up in the rafters. Now, the paper might not catch your eye because it's just a piece of paper, except you see the distinct markings of a map, a path, perhaps. And you also see the vines quiver ever so slightly upon you meeting sight of the paper. What do you do?
Seeing them start to quiver and then hearing a little bit of screaming and yelling coming out from outside. But in seeing the etchings of the map on it, he's going to just very as gently and stealthily as possible try to reach up and pluck it and then bolt.
It's going to be a risk roll. We'll get to it in a moment. Let's have another combat roll, then we'll check in with Aram. Okay, Cassian, go ahead and roll a combat 3. 4, 4, and 1. Not enough yet, but no hits either. So keep it going, Cassian. This futile battle. How's it going?
I think I'm tentatively kind of circling around and trying to figure out if I can lunge at a joint, but also try not to step in the vines. So it's just really going nowhere.
Abeha.
Yeah, I think it's again like Abeha is just shouting, "Where's Soren?" And just like as we're just like running about the square, whacking at like vines that try to trip me up and try to strangle me, but like nothing quite getting me yet.
Indeed. Aram, flowing out of this smashed open sideboard in the hall of the foyer. It's like an inky black river, but speckled with starlight. And purple and fuchsia motes of energy, not unlike my background, actually. And you see it flowing out into the space. And it's like someone tossed water into a vessel, and the water is just kind of splashing down the side and up really fast, you know, like from a height. And so as it kind of splashes up and out, as it touches wall sconces, they are just pulled apart. Like everything that makes them what they are, they're pulled apart, just dematerialized before your eyes. Wallpaper is just like disintegrated, like a drop of water on a pool of oil, right? It just boop, gone. You see, as it sort of like fills the space, it's just unraveling things essentially, and it is now flowing in your direction. What do you do?
So it's like flowing along the ground and splashing upwards.
It's just kind of like
collides
a torrent,
things.
like a torrent. Yeah, yeah.
Well, if it's still kind of like subject to gravity, I'll make for the stairs upwards.
Yeah, let's do a risk roll to escape. This would be a fun chance for everyone to chime in, since we have wild chaos energy roaming through the hall. Gabriel, Jack, Chaotic, what could go wrong here for Aram?
It starts to affect the sort of time that our Aram is in. He will either age up very fast or age backwards.
I think what could go wrong would be the river. Some of this astral river splashes onto Aram, and in this weird transmutational way, all of the rats take on the appearance of Aram, and Aram just becomes a very giant rat.
I like that.
And the sort of raw torrent of this energy, somehow it's sort of like liquid or primal, just entered memories. And I think Aram could just be caught up in all these scattered memories of other consciousnesses and kind of lose track of himself.
Those are all fun ideas. I feel like there are good devil's bargains to mine there too. Let's go to the dice. Aram, running upstairs, do you have a relevant skill or maybe a piece of equipment that's helping?
I think that my vermin skill, this scampering away, is in character with that.
yes, I'm into it. I'll take it. Let's talk about devil's bargains.
I'm just going to build off mine and say that some of the rats fuse to his body.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. You become like a rat king. Any other thoughts or any other offers?
I'm stealing Jack's like fail condition and just say that Aram turns into a giant rat.
That's pretty good too. I think that no matter what, just one rat is left behind that the other group or the rest of the group will have to deal with.
Yeah, I've got as well as my idea of just random memories and bits of consciousness. I think maybe you part of some other spirit or memory here merges with your own.
We'll have one rat did not keep up with the pack. That
Very
sounds
good.
like a great one.
I think it'll be great. I'm very excited about it. Let's go ahead and talk about. I think you had a dark die as well, so risk 2 light, 1 dark.
Okay.
Not too bad. 5 light. The complication is going to be 2 rats are left behind. If you're okay with that, you can let it ride. Otherwise, add a die and try again.
We can let 2 rats ride, I think.
Very good. Please describe your escape up the stairs.
Yeah, I think I think all of the rats are like just taking up curtains and any fabric or rope or other material that they could manage to clamber up out of the way of this thing. And it's a little bit chaotic as we all move up the stairs together. And we don't notice until sometime much further down the road when we can pause to collect ourselves that 2 of our number did not quite make it.
I do like that you all would like take note of it. Right. Which I think is good. Let's go to the fight. Cassian and Obeha. Obeha, give us a combat 4. Okay, 2 6s and 2 1s. That is certainly enough to defeat the statue. But it is 2 hits on both of you. If you're going to mark armor, do that. Otherwise, I think you probably die. So narrate, please, the combat. Kick it off, Obeha.
I think one of the vines actually grabs Abeja and they are like lifted up in the air, and like as like they're squirming trying to get out their cloak, they detach it and fall to the ground, and they get up and like I think they just see like sort of the source of these vines, like this sort of like mound, probably a like squishy sort of thing that I'm imagining, and they're just going to take a big swing at it.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. I will tell you that like there actually is like in the center of the statue kind of like an animating like almost like a jewel heart sort of thing that the vines are wrapped around, so that's pretty good. Cassian, you can finish off the thing.
I think at some point by dodging and trying to sort of fence with this thing, Cassian is grappled by a series of vines that are attached to the statue, and as it kind of lifts him up, he gets tangled and eventually pulls it down. Although the vines, I'm imagining, are very thorny and just completely tear apart his armor. But it comes crashing down in the tussle. He kind of ends up on the back of it, and the weight of the statue kind of breaks it apart as it falls to the flagstones.
Nice. Now there is this sort of like gem heart in the statue, which we'll talk about, and it's a separate thing, but you're also going to get a gold roll out of this. So Cassian, go ahead and roll a gold 10.
Not right.
Absolutely nothing. But you do have the gem in the heart, which we'll talk about in a bit. Let's check in with Soren. Soren, the vines are still a danger. They don't stop being a danger just because the statue is destroyed. It's going to be a risk roll to grab the paper from the vines up in the rafters. Everyone else, what could go wrong here for Soren?
I mean, he could detach something else that's nesting in the rafters.
I like that a lot. I was going to say you just get like, you get caught and silenced and the others lose you. They don't know where you're at.
I think this is probably more of a devil's bargain, but rather that different little seeds get get put like in you or on you and start to sprout.
That'd be a good devil's bargain too.
You're still in this structure, right?
Yeah, in the store.
Yeah, I think the store is more delicately held together than you thought, and disturbing these vines will cause the whole thing to crumble.
All right, let's talk about dice. Soren, are there any skills in play here? Or equipment, I suppose? You have something long.
I mean, I've got, I don't know if it's not necessarily a skill, but I do have the sawtooth blade. I don't know if I could use that to like cut through any vines that might be
Oh, yeah, I'll
in my
take that.
way.
Yeah, I'll take that. Devil's bargains. Just one, and it's going to be what Chaotic said. The vines like plant something in you, no matter what. If you're okay with that, you can take it and have 2 light dice. Otherwise, just one.
Just gonna go with the one.
Right.
See what happens.
And I think a dark is automatic because of the hostile vines. So roll 1-1. 6 dark. Ruin goes up, but you succeed. And I think the ruin is just coming from. I think the vines just fight you essentially. Like you're hacking your way through. I'm going to give you a condition as well. Your condition is going to be. It's actually a monster. The thorn effigy can do this, or the statue. Oh, you take the condition punctured flesh. So you're coming out punctured and bleeding, but you do have it. Go ahead and give me the scene.
I think, he's sort of standing on a countertop and sees it, goes to reach up with it with his little dainty clawed fingers, and I imagine it's happening simultaneously as the fight is happening. So some of these vines have that sentience carried through to them, and they just pick him up and lift him into the rafters. He's just using his sawtooth blade, which I imagine is kind of like the saw cleaver from Bloodborne, and just chopping into them, and snags it, and he chops enough into it. But while they've basically dismantled the statue outside, it causes the vines to let him go, and like mid chop, and on his way down, he just gets dragged and raked with all these thorns as he just kind of falls flat onto the floor.
Nice, good. Here I will remind you of the set goal for the ruined village of Creve, which is to find the road to the manor. And lucky you, the map is notes and directions for basically avoiding the biggest clumps of dangerous vines to get to the manor.
Nice. So question about Ruin. I know how it works in Dark, not as much as I do in Gold. So I'm at 5 now. Is there something that I can do to reduce it, or?
There's no reduction roll in Gold.
Okay.
If you have an item that can reduce it, you can do that. If you can make a case for you or someone else using a skill to heal yourself, I'll let you have a risk roll. Probably should get someone else to do it so that your own Ruin doesn't go up. But otherwise, no. It's not like Dark. You're kind of stuck, and this is when you have to decide whether pressing forward in the adventure is worth it or spending tokens is the better move.
Well, thankfully for me, I brought a trusty flask of troll blood.
That's a good time to use it.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and just down it while I'm on the floor.
Yeah, go ahead and reduce it back down to 4. I'm going to check in with Cassian and Behab briefly, and then we'll get with our again. Cassian and Behab. There is a large sort of pinkish purple gem, again, kind of like my backdrop, in the heart of the statue. It was almost like kind of held there by the vines, like in place. And it's very big. It's like fist size. It's fabulously valuable. The problem is Obeha, you'll probably sense it right away because of your Fey nature. Touching the gem increases your ruin. That's the mechanical output. But it's the non-mechanical explanation is it's incredibly cursed. You have to find a way of handling it if you wish to do anything with it, or sort of like removing the curse or whatever, right? Like you gotta have a plan. You don't get to just pick it up, basically. If you can go sell it though, it's probably worth like 5 gold.
I would say that's that I would. It's a little bit like pushing like the limits of my ward ritual, but like, could I put the gem inside like a container and ward it?
Like a warded bubble. Yeah, I'm into it. If you're willing to make a risk roll for it, I think it'd be fun to do that. Yeah. I'm getting a little background noise on you too, Chaotic. But yeah, if you're willing to if you're certainly willing to do a risk roll, I'm happy to let you create a thing. So you decide. So we'll check back in with you in a moment. Aram, you scramble up the stairs, missing 2 of your colleagues. And if you look back down behind you, it just looks like you just see like roiling pinkish, blackish star energy on the bottom floor and no sign of the 2 rats. For the time being, it may not last forever, but for the time being, up here is all you've got. You will see that there are 3 doors, probably go into some sort of bedrooms or something along those lines. There were doors downstairs too, and there are also cellar stairs as well downstairs. But up here, you see a few doors. They have that same like kind of jittery, shimmery quality, like they could disappear any moment. And if you go in, they might disappear and trap you wherever they put you at. But in any case, what do you do?
I'll just go to the nearest one and like push it open and see what I can see inside before like committing to going through it.
Yeah, I like that. Please go ahead and roll a light die for me. You can just roll hunt 1 to get a light die. All right, so 3. When you open up the door, it looks into a kitchen on the upper floor. It also looks the space of it doesn't make any sense based off what you saw on the outside of the manor.
Okay, that doesn't seem like a great place for treasure. We'll go to another door, number 2.
Roll another light die.
All right.
Yeah. A 1. You open up this door and you're looking into a stable. There's a horse in the stall that looks up at you, kind of like snorts and goes back to doing whatever it was doing.
Are like the signs of outside visible around the horse?
Well, you were like you just saw like this. You're just like looking into the stall, basically. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. All right. Door number 3.
Indeed. Roll another light die. You open this one. You open this one and you see a set of stairs going up, spiral stairs.
Well, of the three, that seems like the most likely. And it gets us further away from the terror of the river below. So just kind of, hop on the balls of your feet, 1, 2, 3, and go through.
Indeed. Great. If you look back, you can see that you've stepped into the observatory or the tower entrance that was also on the ground floor, because behind you, you can see one of your rats, their shape twisting and stretching as chaos energy roils over them. You can see the stairs. You can see where the entrance to the house used to be. And then you see nothing because the door disappears, trapping you in the observatory tower. Let's go back down to Soren, Cassian, and Obeha. Soren, you have a map. What do you do after that?
Dust myself off, realize that I'm covered in my own blood, and start to head outside to find the other two. And I imagine by the time I get outside, they've already taken care of the statue, and Obeah would be trying to ward the gemstone that they found.
Yeah, we can pick up with that too. Obeha, I mean, so I like the idea of you putting a ward around it as a way of like carrying it. It is certainly a risk roll. Gabriel, Jack, David, what could happen if this goes poorly?
I mean, you're cursed immediately. You're touching the cursed gem, obviously.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's some sort of curse from this sorcerer that causes Obeha's magic to always just go wild.
It could cause vines to grow around you the way the statue had.
Yeah, it's what could go wrong is the gem is magically designed to explode when wards are attempted to be applied.
Oh yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's talk dice. Skills and equipment, Obeha, what do you think? Rituals, probably. Yeah, seems good. You got 1 light die. Devil's bargains. There's an offer.
I'm not sure how this would work mechanically, but no matter what, it starts to leech off some of your own magic.
No matter what, the gem will try to keep you from leaving this place. It wants to be in a new form.
No matter what, the gem disappears after it's served its story purpose. Is that everybody?
Yeah. No matter what, it fuses with your person.
That sounds just as bad because you can't sell it. Do you wish to take any of these offers, Obeha?
Because it's Obeha's luck, I think it just fuses with them. So
Very good. 2 light and 1 dark. Go for it.
You're muted, Jason.
3 light is a fail. Would you like to add a dark die and try again? Okay, on the retry, a 6 dark. Your ruin goes up by 1. I think that is going to be reflected in a condition that is called. Yeah, I mean, I just think like just put like the soul of Vero on your in your conditions as the gem fuses with your body, but is otherwise able to be moved around in your body. Go ahead and describe this for us.
I think that this appears as though as I touch it and the sort of the curse almost like is coming over me, like I grasp it firmly and then it just sort of goes inside my hand. Like I'm not sure if it if even is visible anymore.
Cassian, while all that is going on, you will have been aware of something taking place as shortly after the statue was destroyed. And it accelerates as soon as Obeha begins manipulating the gem. And that is that the forest, the thicket at the bottom of the cliff, you can head over there and you'll hear it first, but you can go investigate. It is starting to recede. And the waters of the river are starting to essentially flood the base of the cliff. What do you do?
Go mutter something about how we've done all this out of order. We could have saved ourselves the trouble of hacking through that, digging under that forest. But I'll quickly go back to, but yeah, oh good, you've stashed. I was going to say we could sell it before the others get here. They didn't help us at all dealing with that statue. Well done, well done. Kind of a problem, and I'll kind of relay what I'm seeing in the urgency. If it looks like a flood is rising, we need to have a plan of where we're going.
I mean, it's not going to reach the top of the cliff. It's not that bad. I mean, the cliff is still a cliff, but you can definitely see like the river waters were, I mean, this was essentially, I think, probably more of like a wetland, but the branches kind of kept it all like kind of in check, or the trees. But now it's kind of rapidly, magically receding, and water is just flowing in to places, much like the sort of chaos river kind of flowed into the downstairs of the manor house.
Does it look like it would affect how we could leave? That's what I didn't get a picture
Yes.
of. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The way you came is going to be a swampy, mucky mess. So,
great.
Yeah. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll pick up with everybody. Aram, do you go up the stairs?
Yeah.
You head up the stairs. They spiral up to just one level, up to the landing at the top, which is just a doorway right there at the landing that goes into the top level of this tower. The doorway has no door, but you can see it has a crackle of faint blue energy outlining it. And you can't quite see inside. You can see there's something there, but it's cloudy, it's occluded. What do you do?
I'll pass through it.
You pass through it, and you end up in essentially what appears to be like a stargazing tower. Has a domed roof, and normally such places you would have there be a device that you would use to open up the dome, but this has no such thing. In fact, it doesn't look like the roof can move at all. The stars have been painted on the interior of the dome. it's essentially a nighttime sky, but really beautifully rendered. And then the floor of the place has marked out a quite intricate and wide circle with spokes kind of meeting at a central point. What do you do?
Are there windows in here?
No.
Okay. I mean, I'll see if there's anything valuable around the room that I can reach.
Yeah, you can make a hunt roll. I'm not seeing the result. Did you roll? I might need to refresh.
I was trying to think what I might need for the
Oh,
second
gotcha.
die.
Oh, got it.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know that I've got anything for the second die, really.
Naturally, you roll the one. The die roll was very cruel today. Yeah. Well, you only had one token, so it's nothing of the world, I guess, but you encounter something terrible and you lose your token. We'll come back to that in a moment. So Cassian, Obeha, and Soren, you're all together now here in this hostile, vine-choked ruin of a village. You see the manor. You have a path that is essentially places where vines can't grow so that you can move through the village to get closer to the manor. And it looks like your way back is changing. It's starting to be trouble. You can even hear the cries of the men and women who are trying to cut through the thicket, initially of joy and elation as the trees just sort of disappear on their own, but then quickly followed by distress as water begins rushing in. And so that's sort of the situation there. But let's just have the scene with the three of you.
I would like to spend two of my tokens to find treasure.
I would also like to spend one if we're doing that.
Finding treasure. How many tokens are you each spending? 2?
Just one.
1. All right, let's find you something.
And totally scrounging around while Soren's on the way, like, you didn't help. All right, what do we get? You know.
Yeah, Soren,
Well,
what are
you two
doing
are
in the
long
meantime?
with gagging around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are you all looking for treasures while you move through to the manor, or are you going somewhere else? You can keep searching the village, of course. You don't have to like immediately rush to the manor, but the village is dangerous. So
I was just thinking if there's any gaps after the fight where like vines have been kind of severed and just anything that might be on the ground.
yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so Cassian, what you find is a no, you find a short sword that is kind of like the handle is like covered in gold filigree, and it's not in great condition, but polished up and cleaned up, it's worth 1 gold. So it's probably not functional as a weapon right now. It's purely found treasure at this point.
I know a tavern where the innkeep likes to put such things on display. I could probably sell for a few gold to him.
Indeed. Obeha, where are you searching for treasure?
I'm searching like still like sort of closer to the outskirts of town, just to like avoid any vines coming back, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think what you find is so excuse me. That's how I want to describe this. So essentially, you find what is the wreckage of an attempt to move a cart down the cliff path. You can see it down there, smashed up. You'll have to scramble down to get to it. But assuming you do, you'll be able to find what was essentially these people trying to escape the village, like basically all they had. The most important bit is they had saved up some money in a chest, and it's 2 gold in total of silver. That's all taking a time. Soren, what are you doing right now?
I'm heading towards deeper into town, where I imagine I'd probably come across Kazian first, and I'm very ready to scold him. What were you doing?
Trying to stay alive again. No thanks to you.
Do you see me?
Actually, just remind me what you're also a little bit scarred up.
Oh,
right?
I'm covered in
yeah.
I'm covered in blood, because I assume that because you don't have any conditions that you were hit, but it wasn't too bad. But because I've got this
Armor's
condition,
trashed. Yeah, I'm probably
I'm just
complaining about the armor.
yeah. Well, I was fighting for my life, and you two, what three? Where is Aram? Where is Obeah?
And I don't know where Aram is. Obeha is pulling themselves together as well. We almost were trampled by a giant statue back there. Oh, and the river's rising. This whole place will probably be flooding, so we might find another way out of here. You seen anything?
Well, I have these, and I'll hold up the map and the note that he found. One is a map. I'm still not entirely sure what it's for. I assume it's to navigate this place a little easier. But this note, there's something in that building over there, the manor, Sorcerer soul, some sort of shadowy entity, stone visage, in the manor, though. Perhaps we can use this to get inside.
I'm thinking stone visage, but I'm not saying anything about the gem that I think we just retrieved.
That you think is like tucked away in a bag and
like,
not
oh,
inside of
yeah.
Lea's body.
Yeah. After Obeah like takes it to the chest and like is sort of dragging it along. So Soren, have you found anything useful?
Oh, have I found anything useful? Yes, I found this.
A map has its uses. I was hoping that you may have found something a little bit more substantial, but well, at least we're not going to go completely broke on this.
I am covered in my own blood. It's disgusting.
Still have armor though, don't you?
You know what? Let's just try to find a path to the manor.
Which you have
Wherever
found.
Aram is. Yeah. Wherever Aram is. Let's hope he can play catch up.
Let's talk about Aram. Aram, as you are poking around this observatory, which is quite empty, it's mostly just these markings on the floor that sort of terminate into the center of it, and then this sky overhead. A voice says from the doorway, well, first you hear the crackle of blue energy as they step through it. And then the voice says, they say this is where the sorcerer Vero hid his true treasure. And you'll see now that it's the old man from the camp, the one that tried to lure you all into a trap, the one that escaped when he realized that you all had sussed out his trap. I've already forgotten his name. Who can remember this guy's
Alcott?
name? Alcott, that's right. Or what was it? Say it
Alcott?
again. Alcott,
Alcott.
that's right. Alcott, yeah. Alcott, it's him. And he says, I have actually managed to reach this place several times, and I have not been able to determine exactly how or where or, well, I don't see any treasure, and yet the rumors were quite clear. This is where it was to be found. What do you think about the matter?
Sounds like this is a bum rumor.
Yes, perhaps. And he's sort of like moving the toe of his boot across the symbols that are carved on the ground. He says, I wish I was familiar with such things. Arcane energies, these sorts of attempts to reach out and master the world. I'm certain understanding it is the key to determining where Vero's treasures truly are. Yeah.
Perhaps he had none. Perhaps all of his treasures were mystical knowledge that is dead with him.
I'm currently faced with a bit of a problem. You burned my team alive, and now I am by myself, haggard of body, patience exhausted. I need people to help me. Your Faborn friend might even understand how to make all of this work. What to do?
Don't know. Suppose you should have invested more in your colony.
And here you start to notice that his flesh is shifting and changing. It's smoothing out. He's getting taller. His features are shifting and sort of shaping themselves like invisible hands with putty. And when it's all said and done, you haven't seen your reflection much, because mirrors are still a rare thing in this world, but you know he looks like you.
You've missed a spot.
It's like,
Let me get that for you. And I'll swing with the hammer.
indeed. Indeed. It is a combat. This creature is an 8. How are you vulnerable?
I don't fully understand what it is.
Fair enough. Go ahead and roll weak point. 4. Go ahead and have the first combat roll. You can't defeat him yet. All you can really hope to do is just avoid a 4.
Right. Okay.
All right, you got a 3. Go ahead and give us the first round. What does it look like? I will tell you that he's a surprisingly nimble and skilled fighter.
Yeah. I think the hammer comes swinging towards him, and is he like a putty person?
He's just a shapeshifter, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think he's able to like shift his form around the head before it can strike.
I like that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's great. All right, let's go back down to the rest of the group for a moment. You have the way. What are you all doing right now?
I'm directing from the back. I'm directing the others to guide me through to the manor safely. When we get there, though, is it a similar kind of thing where there's the door just kind of keeps disappearing and appearing, or you're muted?
So that's the funny thing. The path on the map is not taking you to the front door of the manor. It's taking you somewhere else. When you get there, assuming that you all follow the path, it's a very quick journey if you know the way to go. Well, let's talk about the journey a little bit. As you're sort of moving through the village, you'll see all around you shattered windows choked with vines. You'll see splintered doors, scorch marks. Certainly some sort of chaos broke out here in this place's final days. But the safest way to navigate is wherever there is the most stone, because the vines can't creep up from underneath it as easily. And so you're mostly sticking to these stone paths. And you occasionally have to sort of walk in a very narrow line to avoid reaching branches and vines. But it's a short journey if you know the way to go. And ultimately, as you reach the manor house, you don't see a front door. The front door is not there. But the path takes you almost like precisely to the western side of the house, where there is a large, incredibly overgrown rose bush on the side of the house. The roses are this sort of swirling pinkish purple. The color seems to move within them. What do you do?
Oh, but yeah, this really looks more like your territory. This flowery color business. Cut a path through it or something. Eat some of the flowers. I don't care. Just make it happen.
I'm going to get closer to the rose bush. Question. Because I have the soul of Vero, does any of this feel familiar, or am I able to communicate with the soul at all?
I'll give you 2 hunt dice for that, for just using that as your sort of medium for understanding the situation. A 3 and a 1. You encounter something terrible. The dice are so cool today. Cassian, as Obeha leans in to look at this rose bush with roses swirling with pink and purple energy, Obeha is leaning into it a little too deeply. You can see that the roses, their thorns, their stems and thorns sort of reaching out of the rose bush and gently piercing Obeha's skin. Obeha seems completely unaware of what's happening. What do you do, Cassian?
That's what I was going to ask. If they're not aware of it, I'm going to sort of glance back at Soren and be like, seems a little odd, right?
They're a little odd. Does it look like the flowers are starting, besides just like having these thorns pierce their skin, does it look like they're trying to like part or react any kind of way?
They're pumping something into Obeha's body.
Oh. Obeha, you may want to just step back just a little bit.
By the time you all react, Obeha is practically face down in the rose bush as the branches pierce their flesh. And as you can see this energy pumping into Obeha as Obeha becomes almost like part of its system. Meanwhile, Aram, combat 2. Let's see if you can take this guy. You need 8.
Oh, let's get him. Not
Not
yet.
enough. But you're still okay on 3 and a 2. Still doesn't hit your weak point. Just keep the fight going.
Yeah. So I kind of get the hammer back up and do like a wide swing like that, and the shapeshifter is able to very quickly like split its top half into like a rat, and its lower half remains like me as the hammer would pass through, and then it recollides and forms back into me, and then like rushes towards me. I think I'm just kind of scrambling back.
I love it. Let's have the next round too.
Okay.
Combat 3.
Hey, there
Hey,
we
that'll do
go.
Good result. 6, 5, and 1.
Yeah, and no hit on me.
No hit
I like
either.
that.
Yeah, describe it.
It rushes towards me, and I just drop the hammer and freak out as it like starts to grapple with me. But in our scramble, the rat cage gets open, and they just leap onto it, and they crawl into its eyes and mouth, and it can't cope with it. It can't cope with the rats like being in it and on it. And finally, it kind of rolls off of me, and it's dealing with the rats, and I grab the hammer up, and I say, "Get out of the way now!" And the rat's like, psh, and I smash it.
Nice. Go ahead and do a gold 8 too. Damn. There's all the treasure.
I found it all.
You found all of it. 4 gold. Very good. Yeah. These things have at the heart of them one of those gems, like what Abeha and Cassian found. This one's not cursed, and it's worth what it's worth. It's maybe not as big, but it's this kind of pinkish purplish gem. Worth 4 gold.
Well done. Well done. Now
Let's cut back over
getting
to
out
Soren
of
and
this
Cassian.
room.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Soren and Cassian.
How does Obeha react if I'm sort of tapping them on? They're already face down, right? Is kind of past that point.
Yeah, Obeha. You can tell that it wants you, not you. It wants the gem. It wants Vero's soul. That's what it wants. You can willingly give it up now and be free of this, or your companions can try to rescue you.
Like, I probably can't get it out of me either way, so I'm going to give it up, like, because like it's not valuable enough for me to keep it.
So you let them have it?
Yeah, I don't want to be eaten by a rose bush.
Indeed. It will take the gem, and it just begins tearing it apart. You can see whatever malignant energy was inside of it is cracking up the gem. And the rose bush itself almost like can't handle the release of energy and begins to break apart and fall apart. But beneath the rose bush, there's a cellar door.
Well, that's 4 gold we just lost. Cassian, that's a door. Generally, you open it to go inside.
You can clear the condition as well, Abeja.
Kind of glare at Soren, but go to push open the door with my saber.
Yeah, it's a cellar door. Kind of, it's like in the ground, so you have to kind of like flip it up. There's stairs going down. It's open.
Could I just with smuggler instincts here just like look? It's like, does this look? I mean, it was buried under a bush, so it's probably okay. But is it trapped somehow? Is this the smart way to try to get into this manor?
Make a hunt roll.
Yeah. I was thinking stealth or tracking.
Does feel like a stretch.
Yeah.
Unless you have like, you could probably make a better case for just like something from your pack to get this, like to see better or whatever.
Oh, sure. Actually, I have some glowworms.
Perfect. What do you do?
Drop a glowworm down to kind of see.
Yeah, that's good. Go ahead and roll 2 dice. Do ones. What the fuck? The die roller's like giving and it's extreme. That's all extremes today. Yeah, it's like fuck you or here, have all the treasure. Okay. 2 ones is not good. If you had any tokens, you'd have lost them all. One of Aram's colleagues is currently moving up the stairs. You can see it. You can hear it first. You all have gotten quite accustomed to the sound of rat chirping. But this is a much, much louder rat chirp. There is a horror coming up the stairs. It is a giant rat. But as it comes up, it rises up on its hind legs and its body splits apart. Its little rat rib cage unfolds like a pair of wings. And inside, there is swirling chaos, like a core of swirling chaos energy. What do you all do? You have a moment to react before it gets there. You can kind of prepare yourselves.
I would take out my crossbow right away. Like, oh no.
Do you want to try to reduce its endurance?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget how this works.
Yeah, that works. I like it. I have to remind myself of these rules though. Let's go take a look. Can't, because this rule literally changed at the last minute for the whole game. So I'm gonna go remind myself exactly how it works. Okay. Combat. This ranged combat. All right, ranged weapons at combat. Okay, so they can be used to reduce the monster's endurance by putting your ammunition and the use of your weapon at risk. Ranged weapons start with 3 slots of ammunition. You make a risk roll to reduce endurance as normal, but instead of Devil's Bargains, you add a light die for each unmarked slot you're willing to risk. So essentially, how many shots? Now, this is an abstraction. Like it could be like 6 shots, but it's still just 1 or 2 marks or whatever. For each light die that comes up 1, 2, or 3, you mark one of your slots. When you have no more unmarked slots, you can no longer use that weapon. You can, of course, spend a gold to clear them when you are back in town. Now, let's talk about dice. I'm not going to worry about fail conditions. I think well, yeah, I'll define the fail condition. The fail condition is basically if you just outright fail, I think you discover your crossbow, the mechanism is rusted from all this like wet place you've been in, and it is just not usable. Let's talk dice now. You got a light die because of just using the crossbow. What? How many do you want to risk? 1, 2, or 3?
I'll risk 2.
Go ahead and roll 3 light. Very good. It is, let's see, how many? 1, 2, or 3? You did get 2 3s, so
Oh yeah.
your risk slots are, or you have to mark 2 slots, but I'm just going to keep the 4. I'm not going to go with any other extra complication. You are able to reduce the creature's endurance. It is now an 8 instead of a 9. Just give us that initial, like, meeting it at the top of the stairs as it's coming up. What do you do?
First seeing it like, what's this giant rat? And then as the rib cage opens in the chaos, just like stepping back, grabbing the crossbow, and just kind of in a panic, trying to shoot some bolts into it.
The bolts are hitting it and causing it to kind of rear back, and it's giving basically Obeha and Soren is giving you an opening in the combat, which mechanically is represented by its endurance being reduced. If you're joining combat with it, though, please describe how you're vulnerable and roll a weak point.
Against Soren's wishes, I guess just because of proximity, he would engage. It would leave him vulnerable by just worsening the punctured wounds that he has, just making him bleed out even more.
Roll weak. 4. Obeha, are you joining the fight?
Yeah, I'll join the fight. I think I'm vulnerable because this is our mom's rats. Like, they feel a little bit bad about trying to kill this creature.
I mean, you don't necessarily know it's one of her ROMs, but it's fair to maybe just have a general good feeling about rats.
Yeah.
From all your time with a ROM. I love it. Go ahead and roll as or week.
Sure, a week as well, right?
You actually you are still shooting crossbow bolts. You can join the combat though if you want. Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah.
I will wait around.
Okay.
Be occupied.
Let's have a combat too. Go ahead, Soren, you can roll it.
And it's just 1 dark die, or
You just roll combat 2. There's the die roller for combat.
Okay.
You just put two dark dice. Yeah. A 2 and a 1. Obeha, you take a hit, and that's not enough to kill it. Let's begin the combat. Soren, just describe ineffectually against this creature. What's it look like?
He's not a combatant, but he does carry around a weapon. So he does take out the sawtooth blade and just tries to hack into it, trying to like sever this coil of chaos energy. But obviously, it just sort of passes through it.
Obeha, keep it going.
Effect.
I think with like its chest open and it's on its hind legs, and like I think I may push Soren out of the way as like the creature is trying to land on top of him, and then they just sort of I'm in its chest cavity and like sort of almost burning away, but my armor protects me for now.
Very good.
I'm
Next
not
round.
doing so hot.
Yeah, next round. If you want to join it, you can, Cassian. Otherwise, we'll go to a combat 3.
I'll join.
What's your weak point?
2.
2. All right.
I'm going to pass my weak point off.
Who are you giving it to?
Heads or tails?
Tails.
Okay, that is tails.
Soren, your weak point is 4 and 2. And Cassian, yours is 2. Whoever's not running, if you're still in the fight, Cassian, go ahead and roll a combat 4 now, it would be. That'll do it at least. 6 and 2 is an 8. That is enough to defeat the thing. The 2, of course, is bad news for Soren, and Cassian, actually. But you will destroy the thing. Go ahead and start the fight, Cassian. What does it look like? Or start the round.
Cassian throws the crossbow aside, draws the saber, and it sounds like it's just like a pretty large rat, right?
Yeah, it's big. It's like the size of like a large dog.
Yeah, so it's sounded like it was kind of trying to leap onto us and just slashing, kind of just crudely, just trying to land some heavy blows.
Soren, you can finish it off. And are you taking a hit too, Cassian, or did you mark armor?
My armor is already marked, so I'm taking a hit.
You take a condition as well, chaos burn, as the chaos energy literally burns your body. Soren, go ahead and finish it off.
Yeah, Soren will just take up the sawtooth blade with both hands now and just start cleaving into its backside, trying to kind of split it open, yelling over and over, "I bloody hate rats," and just tearing it like in half, and the body splits open and the magic does whatever it's going to do.
Do you get a chaos burn as well?
I have armor, so I'm going to go ahead and mark
Okay,
that.
you can mark it. Yeah. And Cassian, go ahead and roll combat or gold 8 rather.
Got 1.
Hey, 1. It's not too bad. One of you, while we go over to Aram, someone decide what usable treasure is left behind by this thing, and you can claim it. Aram, a window blinks into existence in the tower. Blip, 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 blip. And at that precise moment, you hear a very large rat doing its death throes while Soren screams, "I hate rats." What do you do?
We'll go over to the window and push it open or whatever. Have a look outside.
Yeah, you see your companions down on the west side of the manor, down on the ground. They've just destroyed something down there. You can still see all around the area sort of like hot pink embers of chaos, cosmic energies sort of like, kind of smoldering around them.
Let's see here. I will grab some backpack equipment, get a bit of rope, and kind of secure it, and throw it down at them, and kind of get their attention. Like, hey, what took you all so long?
Soren just glares.
Wiping blood off, looking at my just like seared half of my body. Where were you?
Here, obviously. You went the long way around.
Did you find anything of worth in there?
Oh, sure. And like pull out that gem thing for like tucking it back away. How about you all?
This, and Soren will very menacingly pick up the rat skull.
The rat head.
I'll just pull the rope up a little bit.
Might be a bit of a sensitive matter. Let's not show him this one.
So are we going in then?
Well, now you have some options. You have Aram's rope up to the top of the tower, or you still have the cellar as well.
The roses. Like,
They're gone.
they're gone. Okay. I'm one away from making my burdens. Like,
Presumably, you also find some extra so you can store something away at the end.
Yeah, the dungeon crawler in me wants to go through the cellar, but the more pragmatic part of me wants to just use the rope. So
I'll also remind you of the set goal here. The set goal in the manor set is, let me go back over to, actually to go back to the adventure. That would be wise. Plunder the pseudo vault.
I don't have any tokens, but if you wanted to spend tokens, that sounds
Yeah.
like a pretty good.
yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, if we spend the tokens now, do we still have to go and explore and fight the threats that are in there, or do we just?
If you spend the tokens, you get to plunder the pseudo vault, and you can continue doing whatever you want after that. But
Okay.
you're definitely going to get to plunder the pseudo vault.
Yeah, I'm down to spend some tokens on that.
I don't have any tokens.
Same.
I will spend my 3 tokens.
At this point, Cassian and Obeha, since you were curious about the roses, you will see now that the energy, whatever the roses managed to tear out of the soul gem that Vero's soul was in, that energy is now moving in fine lines up the tower. It's almost like vines, except it's not. It's fingers of glowing magical energy they almost look like they are wrapping around the tower like a cage or some sort of like a spider web, right? Kind of going around it. You'll notice it too, Aram. These streaks of energy that are spider webbing up the tower, they start to appear on the inside of the tower as well. And they join up with the circle on the floor. And then they meet in the center of the circle of the observatory floor. And a tear in space appears in the middle of the tower. This tear in space, looking into it, it just looks like a night sky, but it's lined in this like pinkish purple energy, like a doorway. Only Aram is aware of that part, unless you climb the tower.
We've got something strange up here.
Is it something strange that's worth pursuing?
Only one way to find out. You coming?
Yes.
Yeah, I will climb up the rope. Who's going first, though?
Who is going first?
After you, Soren, please. I'll guard
No, I insist. I'm all leg strength. You're better off going up first.
Fine, then I will go first, since neither of you can make your decision.
Aram, are you just holding the rope, or are you securing it somewhere? There's not much to secure it to.
I mean, what's the windows situation?
You might be able to grapple hook on the lip of the window. Yeah.
I will note for as like battered Obeha looks. Obeha is not covered in blood.
Obeha,
Mhm.
you're able to climb up and get into the window. Who's going next?
Cassian will go next.
Cassian, you're able to climb up and get into the window. Soren, are you climbing up?
I am, yeah.
As you begin your climb, you start to see the window blinking. What do you do?
I'm gonna use that leg strength to try and scurry up.
Indeed. This is a risk roll, possibly with the help from your companions if you can get it. Everyone, what could go wrong here? I think it starts to blink away when Soren's like, 3/4 of the way up the tower.
That's a rough fall. You
You plummet to your doom.
Yeah. The only way I can think of it being worse is that you're halfway through the window.
That's quite horrifying also. It would be a nice echo, a nice bookend of the doppelganger man that was splitting his body apart in the middle of that fight, right? So any other thoughts on what could go wrong here? Okay, then let's talk dice. Soren, I don't think any of your skills are relevant here. Do you have a piece of equipment you want to throw out that might help you get
Can
out
I use a bear
faster?
trap?
This might be a good time to look into your open slots as well. You can click
Yeah.
on the drop down slots to find something that might be particularly relevant here.
Yeah. I don't know if equipment includes like mighty thews though, as you've been describing.
Unless you've got some of those in your bag.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything that's really gonna help. Unless there's like a parachute I can form. Let's just go with it. I'm down to clown.
You have no light dice at this point. Devil's bargains. Who wants to make an offer to Soren?
No matter what, if you make it through the window, it maybe there's a bit of a stretch, but it's like a different window than the rest of us.
You get through a window. I kind of like that.
Yeah. No matter what, that heir of Nagane makes its return.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that one Nagane Royal is on the scene. I'll second that one.
No matter what, I think there's going to just be I think another door is going to open and a giant snake is going to come out of it. So
nice.
Yeah, I'll take the return of the Nagane
Royal. Yeah, that sounds good. You got one light die. Dark die is automatic because of the dangerous situation. Go ahead and roll 1-1. Hey, 6 light. That's what you want in this world. As you are making your way up, you're now at a high vantage point, and you can see people coming up the way that Aram originally came. And you see the Nagane delegate among that group. Team Cockatrice is on the scene. But you otherwise can get into the window safely. You all see this strange portal that is opened up in the middle of the observatory. We shall now take a 5-minute break. I think this is worth saying on the recording. We were talking about it off mic, but if you all need to leave in a hurry, I don't think the escape is going to be easy. The escape is part of the incursion, like getting down back to the Panhandler camp. And the area is flooding with water. and Team Cockatrice is on the scene. There's another mutant cosmic rat somewhere. There is, what other dangers are behind you? Oh, there's this blue crackling energy door that goes out of the tower, which has not done anything yet. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff between you all and safety. And yet, as we pick up the scene, the four of you are now in the tower. The only way of egress is through that blue crackling energy door or through this portal, this tear that looks into a purpley star speckled sky. Let's just have the scene. Role play.
Well, I'll definitely say that Soren, once he saw the Naganese Royal and Team Cockatrice, hurried up the rope and, we have some visitors. So whatever we're going to do, I suggest we do it fast.
Well, we have two options, neither of which are very good, and the portal, it leads to like looks like a nighttime sky. Would I know anything about that? Like, I don't know.
Do you have a relevant skill?
Symbols? But that's
Mm.
pushing it.
I don't think so. I think you can probably safely deduce that whatever power is seeping into this area, this land, this is probably the source of it.
Yeah. I'm not sure which one, because they're equally likely to set us on fire or get us to a different place.
Yes, well, considering that rat, it's exploded with some of what I assume is this energy. I'm less inclined to go that route myself.
Yeah,
Well, let's speak about that rat briefly. You all got a 1 gold treasure from that. What was it?
I think we decided it was the iridescent giant rat skull.
Oh, nice. Yeah, whoever's keeping that, it's worth 1 gold.
Yeah, that's a sword. But yes, you would be more likely to explode than I would.
Yes, it's even more reason why I would prefer not to go this route. Any thoughts?
Soren, since I've been sort of going first, being a shield for you, as it were. I'm kind of clutching where I think I'm pretty badly burned. Do you have anything on you that could sort of patch me up a little bit? Out of character, I know that you have those skills, but I'm at 5.
Yeah, I mean, out of character, could I tend to him at all, or
Yeah, well, what skills do you have?
I've got surgery and forensics, and
yeah.
I've got sewing kit.
Yeah, that's great. If you're willing to just erase the sewing kit, I'll let Cassian reduce his ruin by 1. So.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have some time while Soren is sewing Cassian up and treating chaos burn wounds. I'm curious, Soren, or maybe Jack, really, what do the chaos burn wounds look like?
I imagine they look like fresh burns, but there's like this iridescence to them that shimmers, that kind of fluctuates between blue and green and purple and red and all the colors of the rainbow. And then there's these kind of bolts that flash with the same kind of purplish energy that was in the rat.
Yeah, I like it. So Beha and Aram, you have some time while they do that. What are you doing?
I'm gonna check out this portal if nobody else is.
Yeah, I'm going to stay by Aram, just make sure he doesn't go in it. At least not yet.
Aram, do you go in it?
I mean, yeah, probably, if I can't see anything from this side.
Beha, looks like Aram's going in it. If you can make your case for not going in it, but otherwise.
At least we go in together, yes? Mm-hmm.
No, we don't have a ton of time if those team people are out there.
But they have mostly problem with Soren, not us.
This Soren's with us. He's part of our colony, whatever.
Mhm.
You don't get to pick your brood.
No, I mean, you don't leave each other behind as well.
No, but they don't even want to explore it. They're afraid. Look at them.
Also, according to some sort of no doubt unspoken like rat law, Soren has like earned a place within the rat colony by defeating one of them in combat. I don't know.
It is true that we don't pick our place in life.
Can you see anything through the opening, like standing just on the other side of it?
Yes, you can.
Mm.
It appears to be a river beneath a dark purple starlit sky.
Any treasure that's apparent?
Maybe. The space looks very vast.
Well, this is a better way to go than that way. I'm just saying that outright. There's some crazy chaos talking liquid that way that'll try and kill you.
That is fair.
Which do we think is the Pseudo Vault?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you actually know about the Pseudo Vault, right? Because you have that note. You
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
what that is. Yeah, or you know of it.
Yeah, and I would have shared it to the others. What do you
What's that
recommend?
mean? Pseudo vault.
Fake vault.
Fake vault. Why would we look for a fake vault?
Not fake as in the vault itself is fake, but rather a reality that's kind of fake. Sort of imagine a bookshelf, and between books you slide in a piece of paper. That paper would be a sort of pseudo book.
I don't understand.
Faultless logic, truly.
Soren just sort of cocks his head. No, you've lost me. Kazian, you're feeling better now. I know you are because I'm an excellent surgeon. Which way are we going?
I do agree with Amon that the river place thing is the better way to go because it looks like we won't be set immediately on fire.
Well, come on then.
Yeah, we'll note that like ever since the appearance of the tear in the middle of the room, the blue energy around the door that goes into the top floor of the observatory has started to crackle violently like a little lightning storm. It's very agitated by it.
As long as we're going away from that, I think.
Very well. After you.
In you go. If you've ever played Elden Ring, this space looks a lot like Shifra River, which is the underground river with the sort of night sky above it. And you can see in the distance floating structures, little islands in the sky. But where you're at is on the banks of a river. This river is pure flowing nostalgia. It is the concept of nostalgia turned into a flowing and liquid form. As I paint the scene, everyone tell me first, do you put your hand in the river to test the waters? And if so, what memory do you have, either of home or of something that motivates you or drives you?
Aram, did you tell us what the effect of the river when you saw it was? Like what kind of effects it had?
I mean, this
I
looks
have
like
no
this looks like
idea.
this looks like literal water. Like, it's
Oh,
not-
okay, gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
All right. I mean, I am covered in my own blood. I don't like to be dirty, so I will just sort of splash it onto myself and try to like clean the blood off. And then when I do that, I start to remember my early days back amongst the cult of the blood god. And so nice, you know, so fresh faced. I didn't have as many scars all over me. Got to play and experiment with different techniques for exsanguination, and it was the goals seemed pretty unified. And there's a moment where he stops petting himself and just sort of looks wistfully into the space around him, thinking about this.
Who else tests the water?
Cassian splashes some of the water to just clean the remainder of that just stitched up wound, and remembers sitting on a barge, or like a smuggler's canoe with a few companions, and the satisfaction of having, this was not long after escaping the King's Guard, but seizing contraband that the King's Guard had stolen from other people, and just having sort of outmaneuvered them, and that feeling of absolute freedom, and just feeling the cleverest he had in his life, and that everything would be a whole new story from here. He was set.
Nice, thank you.
Obeha looks at the water. They are tempted to just like take off their mask and splash water in the face, but as their hands are into the water, they remember just from their own childhood playing outside in puddles and going down by the river to just try to get looks at what sort of reflection you have. But looking now, even with this mask, they don't resemble anything like what they once were.
Thank you. Aram, do you test the waters?
I don't think so.
So, you are all on the banks of this river, and the space is safe for a time, enough for you all to find things of value floating on the water or just set along the banks. I will tell you that up ahead, maybe quarter of a mile up the river, you will see someone panning it. A figure hunched over, panning this river, much like the panners back at the camp. And all above you is infinite starry sky, floating islands and cupolas, arches, In the very, very far distance, you see a temple lit by braziers, but you can't reach any of that. All you have is the river.
Does
Soren.
the
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to ask if the figure that's panning the river looks familiar to any of us.
They're too far away. You'd have to get closer.
Okay.
Soren, I will tell you that as you're pulling your hands out of the water, you see something floating along the water, and you can pick it up and take it. It just roll. It is a bronze prosthetic hand with articulated fingers. And each finger has interesting mechanisms and tools in it. Swiss Army hand. It is a fabulous work, a masterwork, the sort of thing that probably hasn't been seen since the time of Old Caldor, or perhaps in the palaces of the Naganese, who have so much of the learning of Old Caldor still in their culture. Unlike pig-worshipping yokels here on the main continent. But it is an incredible device. It is worth 6 gold. But it is also valuable as an item as well. It functions. It has many, many functions, interesting functions. If you eventually sell it, you'll get 6 gold for it. But if you keep it, it increases your burdens by 1.
Yeah.
But put it in your pack for now. It's yours for now. Cassian, you pull up out of the water what appears to be what is in fact a book. The book is not damaged by the water at all. In fact, it's perfectly dry when you pull it up. And the book is essentially a sort of a journal about the Caldor Forest. Paths, places, things to avoid, things to find. Intrinsically, it has no value at all. But to the greedy treasure hunters of Fort Durin, it's incredibly valuable. You get to keep it. It doesn't increase your burdens if you decide to not sell it, but if you do sell it, it's worth 3 gold. Obeha, you see a treasure on the other side of the river. There is a dress form set up in a little copse of trees, and on the dress form is a resplendent gown in layers of seafoam green, woven with pearls and peacock feathers. Do you cross the river to take it?
Yes.
You can. It can function as armor. It can be sold for 5 gold. Aram, your rats have taken a keen interest in something in some bushes nearby, something crawling around in the bushes. It's not something that they're scared of because some of them are like approaching it hesitantly, tentatively, but they're not like running or frightened. It's more curiosity. What do you do?
I'll go check it out.
You see crawling around in the bush a golden snake. It pauses and looks at you with milky white eyes. It otherwise shows no fear or concern. What do you do?
Let's see. I'll try and like sit here and make reeds into some kind of container, just keeping my eye on it until I can manage to get something to scoop it into.
You can do that. If you take the time to do it, you can certainly do it. You'll notice as you take up the snake into the little container you've made, the little cage, that its scales have incredibly fine markings on them. You would need some sort of seeing glass or something to really see what the markings are. They're so tiny, but it's as if someone was able to engrave upon a tiny snake scale a symbol. Cassian, the Pseudo vault is plundered. The set goal is met. You all can continue being down here. There's nothing to prevent you from leaving. You can go back the way you came, of course, but there's more place down here. In fact, there is a person at the end of the river. Cassian, the river is changing. It no longer appears as water. It appears as smoke. Just a rolling tide of smoke. Where before it was water. But you still see that person up ahead, panning it. What do you do?
I look to see if the others are noticing this person as well. Kind of touch, I picture maybe like dry ice, the mist might roll off my hand if I'm testing the water again. And I think I want to get a closer look.
At the person panning the river?
Person. Mm-hmm.
They're not far away. You can be doing this while Aram is constructing his little cage. It's a woman. She comes up from the smoke with her little panning bowl. And she looks up and she smiles. And she says, I know you. I know why you ran away from your duties. It is my job to look into the darkness of people.
Would I recognize her at all?
No.
No.
But what about her vestments tells you that she is a sister?
They are shifting. They are like moonlight, like starlight, like shadow, very impermanent.
Good. And she gets up and she walks to you. And she says, will you stay here with me?
I would like to sit with you, but I don't know for how long I can stay here.
And she gives you a sweet, placid smile and invites you to sit on the bank of the river. Soren, Obeha, Aram, flush with fabulous treasure, here along the smoky banks of this star-shrouded river. The portal behind you, close enough that you can hear the voices of Team Cockatrice coming up the tower. And that is where we will end for today. Let's go to Stars and Wishes. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Stars for well, for you, Jason. The way you run games is very efficient, but it's not dry. That's still very evocative, and so it's something I've seen as like a viewer of previous games, but kind of getting to experience it. It's been really fun, kind of educational too. Stars for finally getting to get us back together as a group. Kazian is a great kind of foil for Soren's uppityness, and so it's always fun to get to play off of. And Obeya's just weird little Feyborn gremlin thing, and so cute and chaotic, very fitting. And then yeah, I like that Aram is like, there's something about him that's very like, not stubborn, but like very focused and very driven. And I really like to see how that plays out over the course of this, and getting to kind of watch the battle, different like battles taking place at the same time was very fun. Wish is just that we find like a helicopter to get out of here safely. I don't want to deal with these people.
Again, like just a star for like everyone with their devil's bargains, and just, oh man, I guess this is more of an anti-star against the dice bot. Like, so mean today. Just like, I think we've only had like 2 successful rolls, like in terms of like halfway decent, with like Aram doing combat.
When it was kind, it was very kind. Like it was almost like over the top, like generous.
It's very apologetic.
It's like, sorry for putting you through combat where you didn't really get any treasure.
We'll give the one person by themselves 4 treasure for an incredibly easy fight.
Also a star for like last minute, just revealing the sister. Like, oh man, it could have been a really different scene if Obeha was there instead of Cassian.
Stars, I really enjoyed I did enjoy the combat. I actually thought the combat was really exciting. The descriptions and the kind of the setup, and I enjoyed seeing the ranged combat. I enjoyed the rat thing was something I had to come up with on the fly, but I had fun with that. That was really good fun. actually stole some ideas from my Brindlewood Bay monster generator table thing to achieve something for that rat. So that was fun. And I'm glad the group's get together again. It's a strange place to be together again, but nevertheless, you are. I really enjoy this sort of like thing where Soren avoids fighting but still manages to like get the next important part of the dungeon, right? like the important piece of information, the important thing, but otherwise like avoids the conflict. I think it's an interesting party dynamic. I liked utilizing Soren's skills and equipment to heal Cassian. That was a good moment. I liked yeah, it was good. The particular descriptions of the combat with the doppelganger was terrific. I like that a lot. And really, really loved the little flashback nostalgia things in the river. That was great fun. My wishes, I'm very curious how you're getting out of this. Like, I just want to know how that's going to go. You have like, you went from having like very little treasure to a fucking ton of it, but like, it's not clear if you're going to be able to get out. So I'm appreciating the irony of that. And I'm rooting for you. I really am. But we'll see.
Speaking of treasure, was there a value assigned to that golden snake?
The snake does have value. It depends on who you sell it to. It is worth 3 gold, generally speaking. It is worth 6 gold to a person who is trying to prove their royal lineage in Nagane. So problem is you don't really know about that, Aram, but Soren does. And so that's our future scene, I think.
Mm-hmm.
My stars are similar to what Jason was saying. I really appreciate both like in character and as a player, this crazy contrast that happens with gold where you have so little things on your character sheet. So you're thinking like, I'm almost dead. What can I do? And you really don't have many options. And then also just as a treasure hunter, you're like, sure, I need to get some treasure, meet these burdens, but what is all this strangeness and just how weird the world gets and how little your equipment and your little drives and stuff matter. I just always like that conflict going on. It's just really enjoyable.
Yeah, I think I liked the stars for how the combats and slow progression brought us back together. I thought that was great. It was a good slow burn on Aram's story while the rest of the group kind of made its way up there. I thought Soren, Jack, your choice to burn tokens for getting in the Pseudo Vault was really helpful to advance our story. We wouldn't be here otherwise. I don't know how, like, I don't even know if we would have managed to crack open the Pseudo Vault by like natural means.
There was one other way to do it.
Tokens.
Yeah, there was one other way to do it in the gameplay that you could have done. It would depend on you all. You had the information, but it would have depended on you all figuring it out to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, like I think I kind of messed up on that a little bit with feeding the crystal to the rose bush. So yeah.
Yeah, there is another way apart from that, but yeah, it was in that note. So
yeah, yeah. Also, star for that rose bush for nearly killing me. GG. I didn't die this time. That like every time I end a session with like 5 ruin, it's just like, man, I'm just surprised like how easy it is to build up ruin, and then once you like hit that mark, it's very hard to die. I don't know what is it with this system. It's just so weird.
Well, I will say that I think it's interesting. I was going to give a star to Gabriel because I really like, because you've done it a couple times now in the series where you've been on the verge of being done, but you take like acted steps to get your ruin reduced, right? Whereas like in other times I've played this game, like people just like kind of freak out when they see 5 ruin and they're like, oh, we got to go, like we got to go. Let's get the hell out of here. Instead of like just like thinking of ways to maybe like prolong their existence in the dungeon, which you've been doing, which I think is great.
Yeah, some groups will get to 5 and they'll start pushing everybody else towards the front.
Yeah, they just like hang back or they want to leave, right? and that's a normal way to react. But you're not like, you can do things, right? Like, and so I appreciate Gabriel like actively trying to like manage Cassian's ruin to like keep in the adventure. I think that's great.
Just waiting for, if something's gonna kill me, which anything could, I want it to be interesting. When to like draw at that moment if possible.
Yeah, exactly. So the play to lose kicks in, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know why Obeha is a little bit hesitant to go to Soren for asking for help, but like I think probably next session a wish is for me to actually go to Soren for help, because like I cannot survive another combat.
Yeah, I think Obeha is at, what are you? You're at 5, yeah. And do you have any armor?
Yeah, I have the armor that you just gave me. That's
Oh,
worth 5
okay.
gold.
You have that dress, yeah. Yeah, you have that dress. Yeah, so again, you're you can kind of still be in it. I do think it was probably very wise for you to even though it temporarily foreclosed getting into the pseudo vault, I think it was probably the right move to give the Rosebush the soul gem, because I think that I feel like if that had gone to dice, it would have been a mess. That's my sense of it. So yeah.
Also really enjoyed just getting to interact more as characters, and like Cassian asking Soren for help, like, oh, I kind of screwed if I don't. So it's like, hey, I guess I'm your bodyguard. Can you stitch me up? I like
I like the shade in the middle of that. Like, since I'm like, doing everything, would you mind at least?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
I also really liked the question talking to Armand about whether or not to go through the portal before everyone else. It was just a very neat, weird conversation.
I was really happy that we got to do the I wanted there to be a moment where you're all trying to get in or out of a window or a door and it disappears. And so I was really happy that we had this opportunity to do that. I was like, okay, well, and in my mind, I was like, whoever goes last is fucked. So let's see what order they're going in.
That's another moment where the dice were like, hey.
The dice were
it.
totally rewarded. It was good. It's fabulous. Any other stars or wishes before we go?
Wish make it to the end of the incursion without dying.
I mean, you're basically there, but there's one other set maybe, and there is more to do in the river, but yeah.
I mean, we have to go back to town and not die by the cockatrices or by the water.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, but just in terms of like being at the quote unquote end of the incursion, you essentially are. It's just going to kind of matter of like are you able to get back the way, get back to, as long as you get back to camp, you're able to leave the incursion. So
more wishes. I'm curious to know more about this sister relationship with Cassian and the sister. Just curious to see if that plays out anymore. And then if and when we do make it to town, I do hope there's some kind of resolution to this sort of royal drama that's happening between Aram's rats.
I don't know. It's like tied up with his drive. So I got to collect like 100 gold before we could ever find out what happens there.
Well, you'll all have made a good go on it before this is over. So
I mean, we could just ask like Aram what Tyrolis is, but we just don't.
The funny thing is, like, as a sort of like meta thing, almost like Tyrolis was supposed to be in Trophy Loom. It was supposed to have a section in Trophy Loom, and we cut it. It was written too, like it was done, but we cut it because for space, but also because we started to like expand the idea of like setting books and stuff for the game, and so Tyrolis kind of became a separate thing, or got slotted into a second thing. So truly, David is only really able to do this like Tyrolis thing because we have not defined what Tyrolis is precisely. So, or with any like, or any hints of what Tyrolis is. But what I love is like if you're listening to the trophy podcast, the one that Jed and I do, his mannequin is from Tyrolis. And in that story, Tyrolis is like a mannequin city that's currently under siege by people who hate mannequins. And so he's trying to like, that's the siege he's trying to break, which I think is kind of funny. So it's interesting that like, until we get done with whatever Tyrolis is going to be in the setting, everyone just gets to kind of, do whatever they think Tyrolis is until then. So
yeah, I wouldn't put it past it to be maybe some like giant rat god. I don't.
Yeah, who knows?
Or it could literally be a city of people that got turned into rats. Like,
well, there's your Piper thing, right? So, yeah. Okay. Well, with all that said, let's go ahead and wave goodbye to the viewers of the video.